The Last of Us Part 2 story is peak gaming marmite. You either love it or you hate it. Or you're in that third camp that hates it but gets really weird about it. If you are one of those people, you're really not going to like this next statement, so maybe take a deep breath, count to 10, or do whatever you do that helps you cope with incredibly important and distressing topics such as this. The Last of Us Part 2 is the best game you hate. Boil away all the characters, all the story, every divisive creative decision that maybe didn't work for you, and what you're left with is a technical and mechanical masterpiece. A game that is not only good, but one that is tip-top of its genre, and yes, I'm including Metal Gear Solid 5 in that statement. More on that in a bit.
What right do you have?
Here's an e-trip, the quickest way to spot a hater who's never even played Last of Us Part 2. Ask them how the gameplay compares to the original, and they'll say it plays basically the same. Despite looking very similar visually, the original Last of Us and Part 2 could not play further apart. One is a serviceable and sometimes clunky relic of the PS3 era, the other plays as smooth as butter. The Last of Us Part 2 manages the 1-2 swing of not only improving and refining what made the original so good, but also stomping out some of its biggest weaknesses. Let's start with a biggie: companion AI. In the original, during stealth, your companions are completely invisible to enemy AI. Considering Last of Us is all about two people working together on a perilous journey, this technical cheat stuck out like a sore thumb even 10 years ago. In Part 2, no such cheating is needed. Companions are now useful partners who hold their own in fights in a very tangible way, without the game feeling like it's playing itself. Naturally, they're also much better at solid snaking their way around encounters. They're not only not invisible anymore, if they do get spotted by the enemy, they'll even apologize to the player. Smarter companion AI means it's only fair enemy AI has had to step its game up, and this is where Last of Us Part 2 really shines. The enemies in Part 2 are playing for keeps and are extremely aggressive, and I don't mean hobo bum-rushing aggressive either. Enemies are smart, they coordinate, they flank, they call out your position, they sneak up on you. Small errors on the player's part can be fatal, and that keeps things tense. Now, enemy AI has been Metal Gear Solid's jam and butter for decades. Even on the PS2, Kojima had these dudes doing tactical searches and transitioning through different behavior phases. In Metal Gear Solid 5, these guys do not give a There is no urgency here. They've got the numbers, but they're like a dog that's caught its tail. They ain't got a clue what to do with it. These guys just don't feel dangerous. And if there's no real danger in getting caught, then what's the point of sneaking? Stealth games have always struggled with the question of what happens when you get caught. Metal Gear's alert phases are the right answer, but they're just so friggin' slow. In Metal Gear Solid 5, you can almost feel the gears cranking as the game transitions from one phase to another. Last of Us Part 2 utilizes a similar system, but the ebb and flow of transitioning between combat and stealth is much more graceful. The original Last of Us doesn't like you being in stealth too long. It has a bad habit of forcing escalation. Sometimes with searching enemies attracted to you like a magnet, sometimes with the game just shrugging its shoulders with a new wave of enemy who automatically know where you are, as if to say, I'm bored, stealth's over now. Oh, and when stealth is over, every enemy knows exactly where you are, regardless of their position. Look too hard and it all starts to feel a bit cheap. The Last of Us Part 2 relishes in the idea of you flitting in and out of stealth. It's why combat arenas are designed like mazes, with nooks and crannies for you to scramble through to help Ellie break line of sight, and much needed verticality to add depth to the stages. Having the two states flow so seamlessly means the game is able to not worry so much about consistency and put more pressure on the realism pedal. You're not quite the puppet master you are in Metal Gear Solid 5. There's a degree of randomness as the AI systems bounce off one another, and realistic animation and head movement make sneaking up on enemies unpredictable. To help balance things, Ellie is much more nimble than Joel was in the first game. Combat now features swimming, diving and crawling, which adds new dimensions and hiding places for players to exploit. The new dodge button sounds like a basic addition, but ends up being extremely transformative. It turns the clunky slugfest with Infected from the original into cinematic scraps, where the player still has agency, even if you're cornered and out of bullets. Now Snake feels really responsive in Metal Gear Solid 5, but he also feels really robotic. Every time he raises his gun, every time he does that Superman-like dive, it's the same animation. Even when he's on death's door, nothing changes. Last of Us Part 2 constantly cycles through dynamic animations, which change to account for things like Ellie being hurt, whether or not she's in combat, and it even takes the surrounding geometry into account, which is how you get those cool combat moments where people get slammed into the environment. Last of Us Part 2 is just crammed with these magic tricks and as many tiny little details as Naughty Dog could muster. When Abby throws punches, the skin will split on her knuckles. There's realistic blood splatter, there's body part dismemberment, teeth will fly out, glass shards stick in your arm. I could go on and on and on. When you take all those details and you combine it with everything else, the smart AI, the well-designed stages, the fluid movement, things start to feel really special. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is due out any day now, and I am buzzing about the idea of replaying the single player with all the new improvements like DualSense integration, and I'm looking forward to seeing what new wrinkles Naughty Dog has given the combat system in the new roguelike game mode No Return. The Last of Us Part 2 is a good chance for a reset, and for some gamers to take a second look at this game with the benefit of some time having passed. I'm hoping, maybe a bit naively, with the passage of time maybe we can have a more sensible conversation about what is, mechanically speaking, a really, really, really well-crafted video game. If you take only one thing away from this video, it should be to buy one of our shirts. We really appreciate the cash and it helps support the channel. But other than that, if you're watching this video and after 4 years Last of Us Part 2 is still the worst thing that ever happened to you, then you know what, you're probably doing alright. Remember, it's only a video game. Abby didn't kill your actual dad. Like, subscribe, don't at me in the comments.